Hey, welcome back. In this concluding video, I want to zoom out as we have been doing and talk about the idea of our particular need that we're trying to meet. Remember, this is a biological need that we have, but also remember that the whole point of going through these technologies in terms of our needs is to get at this idea of a fulfilling life. Um, Being a college student, you are in a place where you want to be considering not just what is the next step, but what is the life that I want to have. So this is where we've been. We've talked about all these technologies. We've talked of food processing and food production. We've talked about the fact that they lead to awful outcomes for our bodies, lousy outcomes for our minds. They implicate us in, at best, morally questionable treatment of animals and of ecosystems. So let's zoom out from that and think about why that is, because no machine, no technology necessarily has to do that. The reason that these technologies do this is that they are deployed within a society that is defined not completely, but defined largely by a couple of different influences: capitalism and rationalization. Capitalism, obviously, an economic system that is organized in order to make profit. That is its primary focus, the provision of goods and services, but in order to make a profit. You can see that in the case of food. It's not about providing food to everybody. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 13% of the American population that was food insecure. Rationalization is about the value of efficiency above all other values. So not about depth of experience, but about the quickness with which we can accomplish some task. Okay. Within a society that is defined by capitalism and rationalization, the food technologies that we have make complete sense. It isn't important to think about, for a capitalist corporation to think about the effect that unhealthy food is going to have on people. The only, from a capitalist corporation's perspective, the only real concern is, can you get people to buy that food? What we see is, predictably, if you don't care about the health of the people, health is going to suffer. In terms of rationalization, in a society that is as busy, in which people are made as busy as you and I are, it makes sense that we're going to reach for something quick, something that can be microwaved, something that we can get out. It makes sense that we're going to do those things because food is a task to be accomplished as quickly as possible. All of that makes sense, but it obviously doesn't contribute to a fulfilling life. The outcome of technologies deployed within a regime of capitalism and rationalization, those technologies, when it comes to food, are going to make us sick. They're going to make us depressed. They're going to make focus more difficult. And we're not going to be aware of that unless we're taking a class like this where we're forced to really contemplate these things, because it's just normal. It's so normal to go to the grocery store and get microwavable stuff. I'm not even criticizing us for this. It's just normal, but it's also really problematic. A fulfilling life, any fulfilling life, not just related to nutrition, but any fulfilling life is going to have at its center connection with other people and meaningful work. Those are sort of two elements of a fulfilling life. If you are thinking about what would be a fulfilling life for you, I would guess that probably it has to do with connections with other people, your relationships, and also finding a career, or you're independently wealthy, but finding things to do that fill you with a sense of purpose, that seem meaningful to you. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's hard to get there, but it's a fairly simple set of things that lead to a meaningful life. Or a fulfilling life. It's just our society doesn't tell you to prioritize that, to put that first, and then orient everything else in your life around it. But let's think about just this one need, just the need for nutrition, and how, if we centered it around connection and meaningful work, we could meet this need in a way that led to fulfillment. I don't want to glorify hunter-gatherers, but hunter-gatherers gathered and prepared their food together. They went out hunting with their best friends and with their family. They gathered food with their best friends or their family. All of that work was done with people that they were connected to. Then they came back, they sat around the fire, they divided it up. And again, it doesn't mean that their life was perfect, but it was oriented to this. And meaningful work, all of their work was basically about food production or, the cooking and preparation for food. But how meaningful is it for you to go out and get the food that your mother or your son or your best friend is going to be eating, that is going to keep them alive, that's going to nourish them? I'm not sure you can get more meaningful than that. So we should all go back and be hunter-gatherers. Obviously not. I mean, I would die within a week because I wouldn't find anything. But how could I center my life around connection and meaningful work when it comes to meeting this need for nutrition? I don't exactly know. I mean, I can think of ideas. I'm not going to tell you what you could do, but I mean, if we think about how we would go gather our food, we go to the grocery store, but maybe we would do that with people we care about to prepare a meal that we would prepare together, that we wouldn't be on our phones while we were doing it. We wouldn't be rushing through it. I don't want to overly romanticize a trip to the grocery store, but I mean, it is a little bit different than the way we at least think about how we're going to get our meal for the night. How would we prepare it? How would we eat it? All of these things would probably be done with people we care about. Now, think about how difficult that is when you've got your classes and your job and everything. A life that is oriented toward rationalization is hostile to this. And I'm not telling you, so quit your job and go do this. I'm saying it's hard, but this is where a meaningful life happens. And this idea of just how could you make meeting the need for nutrition more fulfilling by doing these things, giving that some thought is probably worth doing if at the end of the day you want a fulfilling life. Remember, a capitalist rationalized world is not looking out for that for you. You've got to look out for it for yourself. Okay, that's the end of this week. I will see you next week where we'll deal with probably another really depressing topic. See you then.